Looks like we have a couple questions in the chat. Let's see. I know you mentioned the recategorization of ref analytics data. What other transformation and cleaning was necessary? I mean, the ref analytics was a big part of the cleanup. But we also had to take some of those Google Sheets, and there is some upload restrictions on LibInsight. You have to have certain date format and certain criteria for upload if you do a mass upload. So some of those that we did mass uploads, we had to change different fields to correlate with the LibInsight. So that was one thing that we did in addition to the ref analytics.
And ref analytics specifically, we did have to go through and change some of the ways we categorized certain tickets. When we had started, reference was the only data set that we were using ref analytics for, but we switched to use it for access services and archives as additional data sets. So we had to go through and clean up the old ticket data to make sure it was assigned correctly to the correct data set for our historical tickets.
Yeah, so it was we just kind of combed through each service area and what they had going on, and then tried to clean it up as we went. But ref analytics was the biggest part. We didn't really use any coding. It was mostly just eyeballing it and just making sure everything uploaded without errors. Mm-hmm. So we didn't need any coding. How many staff members? It's just me and Stephanie for the most part. We did have some student help. We tried to implement we have some virtual student workers, but sometimes it was harder. It took longer to explain how to do it than it was just for us to do it. So, and for time purposes, we did it one term, but we didn't do it the next term. But it seemed to go well. One of our students uploaded he worked on the instruction data set, and he seemed to do well with that.
Yeah, we do have all of our staff members entering tickets in some capacity, or we have a couple of the direct in LibInsight data sets where they're manually entering data there. And then we have one other staff member who helps with the circulation, the gate count, and some of the other access services data sets that they work on getting those uploaded for us. But as far as like cleanup and checking the data, that's mostly the two of us. Any other questions?
What is the time frame for exporting data ahead of the quarterly releases?
Constant. So for our ref analytics, we export each month at a time and get those uploaded as quickly as we can. For the sushi harvesting of electronic resources, that happens automatically on the 11th of every month. For those data or for those vendors that allow the sushi harvesting. But we usually go in and try to pull that once a month for things that we can manually fetch. There's usually a big time crunch at the end to try to get all the loose ends tied up. And we've been pretty able to deliver a quarter's dashboard within the following month. So for this month, we were able to deliver Q1, so January through March, by the end of April. So that's usually the time frame we're in. But it's happening all the time. I have to check on a couple after this probably to see where we're at on those fetches.
Yeah, one thing that really helped us too was the LibInsight forms, the ability for staff to input directly into the platform. So we didn't have to like upload that and, you know, kind of work around that. So the forum feature of the Lib Insight platform was really helpful. So we don't have to do as much manual uploads. Any more questions?
So can you design the LibInsight forms or do they come straight out of the box? So LibInsight, you can basically set the forms up however you want. They have 5 or 6 different data set types. So we mostly use the count aggregates and the custom data sets for ours, but they have options for, you know, ILL specific data sets, gate count specific ones. So they have a bunch of like templates you can use, but also you can kind of design one from scratch if you want. Are there any plans to expand beyond the 4 areas currently being tracked? Yes and no. For our VLR dashboard, we're planning to stick with just those 4 charts in those 4 areas for now, but we are looking at expanding what we offer internally to staff members to get in greater detail about those 4 areas more specifically. So like for access services, we're working on putting together, you know, a chart, or a dashboard that is a set of charts for, you know, our gate count specific, times of requests, all those things to give a little closer detail on the info that staff would be able to use for making changes, things like that.
Well, if there are no other questions, I'd like to apologize for the confusion at the beginning of the meeting and thank Courtney and Stephanie for their presentation. I know I found it very interesting and I appreciate it. I'm assuming you guys will take questions after the fact if anybody have some. And Heather had emailed and said that we were going to push everything back a half an hour for the rest of the day. But I think we are all set here. Thank you again for your presentation.
Thank you, everyone. Feel free to let us know if you have questions.
Yep, thank you.